Hi everyone, I'm Natalia from Knit Boise, and I'm going to show you how to do the long tail cast on. So the cast on is how you start any project, and there are lots of cast on methods. The long tail cast on results in a really nice edge that's pretty stretchy, and it's used for a lot of projects. So you can use circular needles or straight, and I'm going to start by finding the end of the yarn. You can use the middle or the outside, and draw a long tail, just about maybe 2 feet to start. This length that you draw out depends on how many stitches you're casting on. And I'll show some tips for that later. So you're going to make a slip knot here. You're going to cross the strand over, and the strand that's crossing, you're going to grab it through this loop. So you're going to put your pincher fingers through there and grab that knot. Okay, great. So now you have your slip knot and then these two strands, one that's just loose and one that's connected to the ball. So you're going to put this stitch on your needle and tighten it. And you're only going to be using one needle, so you can kind of just tuck that away. So great, now I have my needle and these two strands hanging down like this. I'm going to hold my needle in my right hand, and I hold it kind of parallel with the ground. And my right hand is holding it over the top. I like to put my thumb right here too to keep it nice and stable. Now with my left hand, I'm going to use my bottom 3 fingers and clamp both of these strands. This is your tension. Now your index finger and thumb are going to swoop through those strands and open it up. Now the final preparation step is to tilt your wrist back. This is the position you want to be in. Now from here, you're going to repeat these 3 steps. Your needle is going to go up the strand on your thumb, around the index finger, oops, and then back down through this hole you entered originally. Then you'll let go, you'll tighten, just enough so the stitch is nice and snuggled on there. Then you set it up again. You'll clamp, index finger and thumb through, tilt your wrist back, up, around, and down. Up, around, and down. Pull it tight like that. There's a shortcut once you kind of get the hang of it. So you'll set up, you'll do your up, around, and down. And instead of letting everything go like last time, you really only need to let go of your thumb right here. And keep your index finger strong. And keep these fingers down here nice and strong. Don't let that yarn slip up. Now your thumb can swoop this yarn back into position. You're ready to go up, around, and down. Let go of your thumb, keep everything else nice and strong, and then you swoop it back into position. Now it will kind of slip and you will get further away. The more you do this, you will have to readjust, but that will allow you to go a little bit faster once you feel more confident. Now once you have casted on some stitches, it's a good idea to check your tension and make sure that you can kind of move your stitches easily. It's better to have a looser cast on because this just tends to it'll make your first row a lot easier. So that's that. Let me do a few more. Up, around, and down. Up, around, and down. Okay, now 2 other things I'm going to show you. Well, first of all, this is using this tail, so I can fill up my whole needle with stitches. Eventually these stitches will slide down and go on this cord, and that's normal. And I will use up this whole tail, and I'll be left with, about 5 inches left. All this yarn can be used to cast on. Now, say a pattern tells you to cast on a certain amount of stitches and you don't know how much yarn to start out with. Where do you make your slip knot? That's a really good question to ask because you don't want to run out of yarn and then have to recast on, which does happen. So here are 2 tricks you can do. So I'm going to take this out. Okay, so the first technique you can use is measuring the yarn by wrapping. So say your pattern wants you to cast on 50 stitches. So what I can do is measure how much that long tail will make 50 stitches. So what I do is I'll start with about an 8-inch tail or so, just to give myself some room, and I kind of pinch it to my needle. Now, put this out of the way. I'm going to wrap my needle around, or my yarn around the needle 50 times. You can do it like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like that. I like to wrap it on this consistent part, not on itself, because then that's going to make it like a lot bigger, you know. So you can go up to 50 rotations. At that 50th mark, you hold that position, you take it out. That's where you make your slip knot. So you know, okay, that's about 50 stitches. You can also do it a little bit smaller than that. So say you need to cast on 100 stitches, you can wrap it 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this makes 10 stitches. I'm just going to save that point, take it out. Okay, so this is 10 stitches, right? So you can kind of fold it. So this would be 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. Give yourself a little bit extra wiggle room. I like to, just in case. Now here is where I'll make my slip knot to make however many stitches I need. Okay, and then the other trick, which I really love, you don't have to do any measuring. So if you need to cast on a lot of stitches, this is a really great method. So it uses both strands of yarn coming from the ball. So you need to be able to locate both strands. Some skeins, the way that your yarn is wrapped won't allow you to do this. I do have access to both strands of yarn coming from my ball, the middle and the outside. So what I'm going to do is get those two strands and hold them together like this. They are one, pretty much. Now, instead of drawing a long tail out like we did before, we don't need to do it with this step. So you're going to make your slip knot towards the beginning of these strings, these yarns. So I'm just going to pretend they're one, cross it over to make a loop, and then that strand is going to go up here. Boom, there's my slip knot. I'm gonna put this slip knot on my needle. Tighten it up. Okay, now check it out here. So I have, kind of looks like 4 strands, right? I'm going to ignore this short little strand here. I'm not even gonna worry about that. I'm gonna tuck it up here. But now, look, I have 2 strands. These are my 2 strands needed for the long tail cast on. So I'll go into it, clamp those 2, I'll open them up, and then I'm back to my position here. Now you might be wondering, okay, is this first stitch that I made, is that 1 stitch or 2 stitches? Well, you can decide. If you want to count that as 1, you can, it's hard to tell, but this is, technically 2 strands in here. That's up to you, what you want to decide. This could be 3 or 4, whatever. So once you've casted on all your stitches, you have, 200 stitches you need to cast on, which is fine. You can keep casting on as long as you need. In theory, it would keep casting on until it hits the center and the 2 ends meet, right? So you have pretty much unlimited amount of yarn to cast on with. So once you are done with that, once you're ready to knit, all you need to do is cut one of these strands. Just cut one of them. Then you're left with, I'll just do it. Okay, I'm just gonna cut one of them. Great, now I'm left with 1 strand. Ooh, yarn's getting everywhere. Oh my gosh. And then I can go ahead and start knitting with this strand. So that is the method behind it. I really like using this technique because it just allows you don't even have to worry about running out of yarn with your long tail cast on. So yeah, that is how it works. Make sure to practice, and yeah, good luck.